It is so beautiful to see you.
I want you to want me.
Out there, live music fans. Welcome to episode number 32 of First Concert Memories, the monthly sidecast from your buddies at the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock podcast, where we invite a guest on to share their memories of a special night in their life that revolved around going to see a live rock show. We know we've all got them, special nights in our life that were defined by the show, and maybe it wasn't because the show was great, maybe it's because something crazy happened, or you met someone special, or just the fact that the music was so great it changed your life. And this month, we have a return guest on, and that's founder and CEO of Metal Blade Records, Mr. Brian Slagel. We had him on last year talking about the first concert he ever saw, and that was Kiss on the Alive tour in the Forum in LA. Really life-changing. Kind of set the bar really high as far as what to expect from a production of a live rock concert. As we talked with him, kind of figured out that we're all Iron Maiden fans, but he's a special Iron Maiden fan, and that he's seen them over 300 times. He'd seen all 4 shows on Live After Death that were recorded at Long Beach. He also went to Hammersmith for a couple of those recordings. He knows Rod Smallwood well. He's gotten to know everybody in the band for the most part. So we thought, he's got to have a great story about Iron Maiden. We're going to go see Iron Maiden again this year. Why don't we have Brian come back on and tell an Iron Maiden story? And despite his incredibly busy schedule, he made time for us to talk about what it was like to go to Houston from LA as a young man. I think he's 21 years old, 20, something like that, staying with a buddy to see Iron Maiden open for Judas Priest in Houston. And it's in 1981 on the Killers tour with Paul Di'Anno on lead vocals. Obviously, Jackson and I didn't even get into Iron Maiden until the 90s, so we never had a chance to see Paul Di'Anno in Iron Maiden. We thought this will be awesome. As a little bonus, guess what he did after the show? Well, because he had this great fanzine and he was interviewing people for it, he somehow secured an interview with Mr. Steve Harris after the show at the hotel. Crazy. But there's a lot more to it than that, and he talks about how eventually, on that same tour, he did get to interview Paul Di'Anno and got some crazy news from him that he didn't think was real at the time, but would spark the change that would make Maiden one of the greatest bands of all time, and about his favorite, certainly his favorite live band, I would say, and ours as well. So we're going to cover that night in Houston in 1981, but we're also going to talk about a lot of Iron Maiden related stuff with him, as he is in the know. He has great passion for it, and we just want to know all about it. But first, we do have a little bit of business to take care of. We, like Brian, are proud members of the Pantheon Podcast Network, a family of over 100 different shows. You can learn more at pantheonpodcast.com or follow on socials at PantheonPods. And we love giving shout outs to our intergalactic sponsor, WearVinyl.com, who are based in the UK, folks, but they procure collections from all over the world and they ship all over the world. And you bet your bottom dollar they have some fantastic Iron Maiden stuff. So whether you're looking for an expensive box set, a rare international single, a picture disc, a poster, whatever it might be, go to RareVinyl.com and you can use the code UGLY, UGLY, to save 10% off one entire order. Not just one thing in your cart, but everything that you purchase from RareVinyl.com. So if you want to buy 20 different rare Iron Maiden items and it totals up to $1,000, use the code UGLY, you're going to save $100, and you'll find some amazing rare stuff that you're not going to find everywhere every day. So visit RareVinyl.com, use the code UGLY, save 10%, your record collection will thank you. Now back to Brian Slagel. Very open and articulate man who knows all the big players in metal, can call a lot of the biggest heavy metal legends and gods his friends, but not all of them, as we find out here on this show. Not that he isn't friends with them, but just doesn't know certain ones as well as he does others. And that's part of what makes this a fun chat. So let's do it, man. We're talking to Brian Slagel, founder and CEO of Metal Blade Records, on the first time he saw Iron Maiden in Houston in 1981. So how you been? 2026 off to a good start in the metal world?
Yeah, it's been busy, so I guess I can't complain about that, right? So that's good.
Well, welcome back. Thanks for coming back on. I mean, when we had you last year on First Concert Memories, talking about your first ever concert, and it was Kiss Alive at the Forum.
76?
76, okay.
76. February 76.
And you were a teenager. You were like 15?
Yep.
Okay.
Just turned 15.
Gotcha. Okay. So now we fast forward to 1901. And what a pretty high bar, too, by the way. I mean, Kiss live, the explosions, the drum kit, all that stuff. It's a lot to, be like, are they all like this? And then you find out quickly, no, but some are still badass.
Yeah.
And so now you find yourself in 1981. Now, were you like a stringer for Kerrang, or were you like a full-time correspondent, or?
Yeah, I don't even know what to describe my thing. I mean, I was kind of the US guy for Kerrang, but I didn't do it for a whole long period of time because they never paid me. So after a while, I was like,
sounds about right.
Hey guys, where's the check?
Okay, so was that around this time? Was that before you got down to Houston here? I mean, what was the cause of you being down in Houston? Because I know you're from LA. Why were you down there?
Well, so, Iron Maiden became my favorite band of all time, and they still are today. So, I had gotten the first 2 records and was completely freaked out by them and was unable to get to Europe to see them. So I saw they're coming to the US. No LA dates at that point. So I'm like, oh, where should I go? Well, I had a friend in Houston. So I'm like, well, I'll just fly down to Houston because I can stay at his house and we can go to the show. And that was probably the only show I could really get to at that point. So that's why I pinpointed like, okay, let's go. I'll go to the Houston show. But yeah. I mainly went just as a fan, but I also had my fanzine going at the time. And I had strangely enough, set up an interview with Steve Harris to interview him for my fanzine. So that was the bonus on it.
Did you really?
And oddly enough, like I know Rod Smallwood really well and all the other guys pretty well. That's the only time I've ever talked to Steve Harris.
In 50 years almost.
In all the years I've been to over 300 Maiden shows. I've hung out with all the guys numerous times, but no Steve Harris, which is fine with me because he kind of freaks me out because he's like the god of all gods, basically.
He kind of is, and he doesn't stop, and I don't think he has time for sycophants. I think he's always moving something forward, no matter what he's doing. So Jackson, you had to interact with him in the hallway of the hotel. There, he was cool, but he was like, okay, great.
Right. It was, I mean, he was coming past me in the hallway and in that 1 second, I'm like, I got to say something. I just said, Steve, and he turned around. It was like, oh, what is this going to be? And I just stuck my hand out and just said, hey, great show tonight. Thanks so much. You guys kicked ass. And he's, oh, okay, cheers, mate. And he walked off, but he did not want anything to do with me at that point in time. I'm sure he thought it was going to be like, hey, can you come to my birthday party or say something in my thing? No, just no.
Thanks, man.
That's why I don't want to go up to talk to him unless somebody introduces me to him. I'm not going up to talk to him.
Yeah.
Is that the new heavy metal review?
Yep. That was it.
Sweet. Now tell me, because you love this stuff, you've been working in the record store, you start getting new wave of British heavy metal stuff in, you dig it. I mean, were you into all of it? Saxon, like Tigers of Pantang, all that stuff?
Everything. Well, I heard Iron Maiden early on. I was a bootlegger as a kid, so I would, tape shows and ended up selling them to fund my vinyl addiction at the time. Because I had no money. I needed to buy vinyl. One of my friends in Sweden we traded an AC/DC live tape, and he said, hey, I put this band called Iron Maiden on the end of this tape. I thought you might like it. It was a Soundhouse tape. So I listened to it, and I go, oh my God, this is what is this? This is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Nice.
And I found out it was this new wave of British heavy metal thing. And lucky for me, even though I lived in LA, one of the record stores carried Sounds magazine, that was the magazine covering this whole scene. So I would just read all of that and try desperately to try to get the records and stuff. And, that's when, my friend John and I met Lars Ulrich when he was 16. When he first moved to Southern California, he couldn't believe he found 2 other kids that were into the same stuff. He was
metal, yeah.
I think he thought there's no way in LA anybody's going to know about this. So I just got into all of it. I own every 45-inch from that time. I own pretty much every album from that time. I was obsessed with that whole scene, all the bands.
So what did everybody else think? Because that was like the Motley Crue days and the Sunset Strip, where they like, this guy's
well, it's funny when I started working at the record store and bringing all this stuff in, I had no idea that there were people in LA that were into this. But I mean, I sold 300 copies of Killers by Iron Maiden, which is kind of insane for a little tiny independent record store. But there were metal fans out there, and Rat and Motley Crue, when they first started out, were a lot heavier. They were definitely not as poppy as they became. They were. Yeah. I mean, Rat looked and sounded like Judas Priest, all black leather with flying V's. Jakey Lee was in the band at the time, and they were good. Even Motley was a little bit heavier too. So it was still pretty metal until they kind of started drifting the other way.
Yeah, and
But
that
all
got them
like,
on MTV.
but
Yeah,
everybody was into all that stuff. I brought in everything. I Merciful Fate and Saxon and Angel Witch and everything. And we were able to sell quite a bit of it. And people would drive a couple hours to the store to get the stuff because it's the only place you could get it in LA.
right, you couldn't get it.
Me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's really cool though, man. See,
that was fun.
It's not like you just knew bands when they were up and coming. You didn't just help them along the way. You helped perpetuate the scene, man. I mean, even as a young man.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of even what I've even to this day do with the label. It's just like I like this kind of music and I want other people to like it. So however I can help do that because I can't play an instrument, so I couldn't be in a band. So what other routes can I go to help people in the scene? So I just became a fan, and then did the label, the fanzine, and worked at the record store and helped program the local metal show on the LA radio station.
Right,
started booking shows, the whole thing.
Well, that's why we do our little show here, because we cannot play instruments, but we do love the rock music. Any way we can perpetuate it, help those who do it, stay on top, we're there.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's rock and roll comedian Don Jameson, and you're listening to my Pantheon podcast partners, the Ugly American Werewolf in London. And actually, they're kind of beautiful.
All right, so that's pretty cool. You decide they're coming to the States. They're not coming to LA. I'll get to Houston. I got to see these guys. Oh, and by the way, bonus, they're opening for Judas Priest,
exactly.
Right?
That was the other great part of it too. I was like, wow, Maiden and Priest on the same bill. That's what a dream that is.
The Sam Houston Coliseum. Now that's not around, or it's not around in its same form anymore.
Probably not. It was just an old arena. It was decent. We had floor seats, and there were actually chairs. We had to sit in the chairs.
Okay.
But it was, it was all right. It wasn't, I had not been to a million shows. I've been to a lot, probably more club shows than arena shows. But it wasn't unlike Long Beach Arena, which is probably where I'd seen the most shows at in LA. It was a pretty similar spot. So, but not spectacular. And at that point, it was already pretty old, and I can't imagine it might still be there. Who knows?
No, this looks like it was built in 1937, demolished in 1998.
There you go. That sounds about right.
So yeah, in 1981, it was already pretty old.
Yeah. You could tell it was not a new building for sure.
Had you been to Houston before?
No, never been to Houston in my life.
Yeah, that must have been an interesting.
It was a culture shock because I got there and it's pouring down rain. It's 100 degrees and it's 100% humidity. I just walked off the plane and go, how do people live here? This is horrible.
It's still that way today. Only
I know.
It's probably 5 times as big and there's traffic everywhere. Yeah, it's a major city in a swamp.
Yeah, it's LA with worse weather.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and think about Maiden at this time, right? They're in the Diano era. They take a bit of a step forward with Killers. They've got this new guitarist who seems to fit in quite well. Harris is still doing all the heavy lifting, of course.
Yep.
But I mean, at this point, I guess you probably hadn't thought about they could change the singer because Paul Diano was the only voice you'd ever heard or thought of.
Yeah, well, I have a couple of funny stories about that. First of all, memories from that show was, so again, we were sitting on the floor in floor seats, and it was like nobody really knew who Iron Maiden was. So when they went on, it was, I don't know, maybe a third full. It was not that many people there.
Okay, yeah.
And my friend and I were huge fans, so they went on, and we got up, we were standing up, banging our heads, and the security kept coming up and saying, "You have to sit down." Like, I can't sit down and listen to this,
man.
Like, yeah, what do you? So after about the third time, they came up, if you don't sit down, we're going to kick you out. So like, all right, well, I don't want to get kicked out, so I guess we better sit down and bang our heads sitting down. So that was very bizarre. But
well, don't mess with those Houston cops, man.
No. I knew better. I'm not getting in trouble here.
So, I mean, can you recall? Did they sound good? Did Priest let them sound good, or did they not want to get shown up by them, or did you remember these guys are actually pretty damn good?
Well, yeah, it was. I mean, look, just seeing them live for me was a dream come true. So I was completely into it. I mean, they didn't sound incredible, but they didn't sound terrible. I mean, clearly not as loud as Priest was going to be, and all that sort of stuff. And they didn't really have very much stage room, but they didn't. At that point, they didn't have really any show, and they didn't. They weren't running around on stage particularly either. So they had a small part of the stage, and obviously Priest stuff is all set up behind them, and it sounded good. It sounded good. It wasn't. I could tell it wasn't as loud, I'm sure, as they would like it to be, but it sounded fine. It wasn't like the sound wasn't really muffled or really bad. It was good enough for me to really enjoy it. Let's say that.
And there's no Big Eddie, right?
Nope.
Right? And there's no huge pyrotechnics or
No show at all. Just them on stage doing their thing. And
Yeah.
I looked at the set list and it's probably about 35 minutes. I'm guessing they got something like that.
I mean, yeah, it's 8 songs. I mean, but some of these are longer songs, like Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera, yeah.
Murders in the Rue Morgue is pretty good. They can drag Iron Maiden out if they really want to. So yeah,
Yeah, but it was probably about 35 minutes. And I've since learned later that those two bands did not really get along very well, even on that tour. So
and why is that?
There's a whole bunch of different stories running around. I mean, the Priest guys felt disrespected by them for some reason, and
well, they had to pay their dues. I mean, they finally found success in their 7th, 8th, 9th albums, right? And whereas here's Iron Maiden with 2.
Yeah, and it was Priest were the original ones, and they're both British, and it was just kind of weird. Like everybody has different stories, and nobody, somebody says one thing and somebody says another thing. But I do know that they never really they've never played shows again since, so they never really kind of buried the hatchet, unfortunately, which is too bad because they're two of the best bands of all time.
Yeah, and they're still going. But okay, who would go first and who would close? For me, that's pretty easy.
Well, yeah, now it is, and I'm sure that's the other thing is Priest isn't going to do that. But they never really, even if you read KK's book, and I love KK, he's a great guy and probably my favorite guitar player in Priest. No offense to Clint Tipton or Richie Faulkner or Andy Sneap, but even in KK's book, and he's like a super nice guy, and the whole book is pretty positive about everything. But even he was like kind of no on these Iron Maiden guys. We didn't like them, and the whole thing is really weird.
That does seem bizarre because they seem like the nicest guys, and I can't imagine. I mean, maybe did they feel threatened? I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine they were jerks to them.
Yeah, I don't think so. There's some story about Maiden was like late to sound check, or I don't know. As with anything, I'm sure it had something to do with who the handlers or the road crews or whatever were probably battling over something, and I don't know that the band guys ever did. But yeah, it's kind of weird. So of course I didn't know anything about that when I was at the show. I just thought this Maiden's the greatest thing, and the show is great. Of course, Priest were awesome as well.
So what was Di'Anno like? Did he come out with the leather jacket, eventually shirt off, just screaming into the mic?
Yeah. He was just like all the videos you saw. He was doing his thing, and I mean they were at their prime in '81. I mean they were on fire, and their first time in America, and I think that tour had been going for a couple of weeks, so they were all on full cylinders, and they were great. Di'Anno was awesome. I thought Di'Anno was really, really great. And of course I loved Killers. It was, my favorite album at that point. I always loved Di'Anno. But the other funny Di'Anno story is on this same tour, eventually Iron Maiden got added to UFO's show at Long Beach Arena in LA. Oh, sweet. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. So went and we set up an interview with Paul Di'Anno. Because I interviewed Steve, obviously, in Houston. I'm like, I want to interview Paul. So I interviewed Paul, great dude, awesome guy. At the end of the interview, he goes, yeah, I'm leaving Iron Maiden. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah. He said, I want to do something more melodic. And we're like, you can't leave Iron Maiden. What are you talking about?
Man, it's my band.
Yeah, we were just like shocked and like, what the hell? He was just kind of like, and sure enough, he left or got kicked out or whatever.
Whatever may have happened.
Yeah. But anyway, that was kind of crazy.
What about Steve at that point? He's being Steve, but he's got spandex on, or he's got jeans on.
No, they were the early '80s look where they were all pretty much black, and there was Steve might have been. I'm trying to remember. They were probably wearing spandexy sort of things around that time. I don't think they were wearing jeans, but it was all black and white. And I know one of the Adrian, I think, had a leather jacket on. And yeah, Paul would come out with a leather jacket. He'd have I think he still had the white shirt. And he had the gigantic armbands and stuff. But yeah, they were phenomenal. I've looked around to see if there's any footage from any of those shows, and it might be like a song or two from the UFO thing, but just not much because people weren't recording. I have a great bootleg of the Long Beach show, but audio.
You're right, audio only.
Yeah, no video. So sadly,
that is sad because I'd love to see that. I mean, Clive Burr, I think, was an amazing drummer.
Phenomenal.
It was more his off the field issues versus his actual drumming, wasn't it, that led his demise?
It was the same with Di'Anno and Clive Burr. They just they were liked to party a lot and would occasionally get sick and miss shows. And I think that was, if you read any of the Maiden books and whatnot, that, Steve Harris runs a pretty tight ship over there. And when you're missing shows because you're sick because you've been partying for 3 days, that doesn't go over very well. It is, Clive Burr, to me, one of the greatest metal drummers of all time. It's really was sad when he left. Look, Nico picked up and did a phenomenal job too. But I always miss Clive. He was like those first 3 records are so great. Like he's just so amazing and so different. Like he reminds me a little like Lombardo's probably my favorite metal drummer because they were both a little bit different. They had a different style that nobody else did that really works.
I have a pretty good memory for something that happened so long ago.
I remember. I'll never forget that show. That was an important show.
Had you seen Priest before, or was this your first time for them?
No,
too?
I'd seen Priest before.
Okay.
I'd seen Priest a couple times before. Yeah, so I'd seen them before, so I knew what to expect from them. But I was dying to see Maiden, and they were great. I mean, probably I've always been a big fan of Phantom of the Opera, so. I love that song. I remember that. I mean, the whole set was great. The whole thing was incredible. Murders in the Room were the whole thing. But I always love Phantom of the Opera, so that's always a highlight for me whenever they play it.
They played both those last year in Europe. But did you go to shows over there last summer?
No, I tried to get over there, but my schedule's so stupid that I couldn't do that. Plus, I know they're gonna come here, and I'll see it here. And honestly, I was a little not in on the new drummer per se at first. I've grown to now see more and more of the video shows, so I get it now. He's starting to get it, but at first, I was like, I don't know.
Those are big shoes to fill.
It's a tough gig, yeah.
It's a small kid. He looks like an accountant, I don't know.
It does. It is small. I know. That's what I said to Jackson the first time. I was like, he can't play Nico's stuff on that kit, can he?
But he's good, yeah. I talked to Lars about it, because I want to get his opinion. He's like, no, he's pretty good. He laid it out pretty well. So, but I didn't get over there, but I'll be there for sure as many times as I can when they come over to North America.
Saying the drum tech probably he's on vacation now because it's probably 1/4 the size of the old kid.
Yes, set up and take down in 5 minutes.
Well, we're going to Charlotte for sure, and then they're playing Louder Than Life here in Louisville. Have you ever done that show before?
I haven't done that one. I did the one before it. I forget what it was called, but they had a big
Bourbon and Beyond.
Maybe whatever the one that they had before that out in Louisville. I went to once, and I'm not a big festival guy really, so I'm gonna try to do, because I like arena shows. I don't like stadium shows or big festivals, so I'm gonna try to do Toronto. They're doing 2 dates there, and cool. I'm way overdue for a Toronto thing. But I actually am trying to go to the Charlotte show because I have a lot of friends in Charlotte. So I might try to do that one too, but we'll see. I famously I buy tickets for like 8 shows and I can only get to like 3 or 4 because my schedule screws it all up.
Funny you say that because obviously you get shows and you can't always go. I mean, life happens, work happens, whatever. You get sick, somebody does. Iron Maiden, I've seen them. It'll be the 11th time I see them if I make it to Charlotte and if they make it. But it's the most. It's like 5 shows I've paid for and I eventually didn't go. And maybe I sold a couple of them, but still it was like I was so psyched to see Maiden and then for some reason it didn't happen. And it makes it so much sweeter when you do get to see them.
I do the same. I still think I'm 35. I can do anything and everything in the world. So I'll buy all these tickets and then I'll only make it to like half the shows. So, but I've seen Iron Maiden over 300 times now. So
that's amazing. Really? Well, where does this one rank in those?
The first one?
Yeah.
That's a good question. It's got to be, it's not top 5, but probably top 10 just because it's the first time.
Specialness, yeah.
Yeah, and I only got to see them with Deano twice, so that, those are pretty special shows. And and it was really good. They were definitely really good that night. So yeah, I'd probably put it like, I don't know, 8, 9, or 10, somewhere in there maybe.
Nice.
It's hard because I've seen so many incredible Maiden shows.
Right. I mean, if I say give us your top 10, you probably give us a top 25, and then you wouldn't push it beyond that.
I can tell you my favorite Maiden show though of all time was at Hammersmith Odeon in London, '84 when they were filming and recording World Slavery Tour. I saw all 4 shows at Long Beach, and I saw 2 of the 4 that they did at Hammersmith. And Music for Nations, God bless them, got me eighth row tickets for that show. And the eighth row at Hammersmith was amazing because there's like the first 7 rows, then there's like a little walkway. And then we were just a little higher, but still you could almost reach out and touch them. And they were on fire. In fact, I caught Bruce's sweatband that night, which is cool, which I've since lost in all my moving, which I don't know how that could happen. It's like one of my prized possessions. And but that's my favorite Maiden show of all time. That was just an incredible show.
So after 300 times, have you ever seen them where they phoned it in?
Well, I wouldn't say phoned it in, but there was a couple of shows like kind of during they were out with Queensryche. I believe it was like
92.
Right. Yeah. Right before Bruce left. And I saw them in Vegas. I wasn't living there yet, obviously, but I saw them in Vegas, saw them in LA, and I saw them in Vegas. And Vegas was a tough show. Bruce was having a bad night, monitors, which was a constant problem for him back then. And he just got so pissed at the monitor guy. Was yelling at him. He just basically just stood on the stage and sang, didn't move, didn't do anything. He was so pissed off. And so the band was kind of off that. That was probably the worst show I saw. They were still pretty good, actually, but it still was like, wow, that's kind of a bummer. And Bruce still sounded good, but you could tell he was pissed off. So he just, for the second half of the show, he just stood on the drum riser and didn't move.
Yeah, we've heard that report before, that during that period, if it was a 20,000 person show, Bruce would be on. If it was a 6,000 person show, Bruce would be like, yeah.
And that was a 6,000 person show. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I get it. It is what it is. But other than that, I mean, that's the only time I can ever think of where they weren't. There's obviously nights that are better than others, but for the most part, they're always really good.
It's got to be really tough to keep that schedule going. I mean, for you, it's every night, every other night or something, but for the fans, like, this is it. I only get to see them one time. So, how do you come out there and give everybody a one-of-one experience?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. And just every band is like that, right? But the interesting thing about Maiden is that since Bruce came back, the Bruce 2.0 or whatever you want to call it, I don't think I've ever seen him where his voice hasn't been on. Like, it's been perfect. Even they played like 3 shows in New York once. I'm trying to remember what the tour was, 2010-ish, maybe the 2008 tour, somewhere around there. So they played in New Jersey, Madison Square Garden, and one other show, maybe 2 nights at the Garden. I can't remember, but we were out it was after the New Jersey show. We went back into the city where they were staying with Smallwood and a bunch of the other guys, and we all went to the bar at the hotel they were staying at. And we all, we were there for quite a while. And Bruce was there until, we left at probably 2:30 in the morning. He was still there holding court, drinking some beers. And I was like, I wonder how he's going to be the next day. And he was phenomenal. It's like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, that's impressive.
So we went to see him twice in Stockholm last summer. Indoor place. It was an indoor football arena. So it was 45,000 people each night. And we're on the second night. I brought my daughter that night. She's sitting between me and Jackson. And I can't remember the song, but Bruce pulls some kind of magic out of his voice that I didn't still, at 67 and tongue cancer, I didn't still think he could do. And it made me sit up like, am I seeing this? And I turned to look at Jackson, who's over here, to see if he's seeing it too. And he's just shaking his head because he had seen it. And he's like, I've been to 10 shows. This is still like his 4th show or whatever. So I've been trying to get him to see how the power of Iron Maiden. He's just sitting there, God, this is real, but it's unreal at the same time.
Especially that, we were there 24 hours before. They gave us 2.5, 3 hours of a show, and to come back like that, that's amazing. We saw Metallica, and they take a night off. They don't go 2 nights in a row.
Back,
so it was like nothing happened. It was like this was their first night of the tour again.
Yeah, obviously he's in great shape for sure. But it's interesting. Sometimes guys take care of their voice really carefully, and other guys it's just there. It's just there. Mm-hmm. I think for Bruce, look, he's like I said, he's in really good shape, and he takes care of himself, and I'm sure eats right and all the stuff he's supposed to do. But yeah, he'll go to a couple 2.5 hours every night, and they'll do 4, maybe 5 shows in a week sometimes, and that's. I've been doing podcasts all day long, and my voice is always going.
I know. All right, well, you mentioned favorite songs are like Murders in the Rue Morgue, Phantom of the Opera, but was there a moment in the show that forever sticks in your mind? Was it Paul flipping people off or anything?
I think honestly, just when they first came out, because I'd never seen them before. When they first came out, and just the power of the band, and just they were so into it, and really super excited and powerful. And Deano comes out and he sounds incredible. I was just blown away by how good they were. I was like, whoa, this is, even for an opening band that's not, doesn't have any big stage show or anything, and certainly isn't getting the full power of the sound. They were just phenomenal. I mean, I was like, whoa, that's pretty insane how a band, I mean, it's like the Slayers and other bands, when they're on, they're just like on, you're like, that's just magical. And that's kind of the way that was for Maiden. It's really that first couple of minutes, I was like, whoa, this is next level.
But Priest, though, I mean, so you'd seen them before. Any like big Priest moments from the night that you can recall?
They were great. I mean, honestly, in the after haze of me seeing Iron Maiden, just being kind of like, well, what was that? I mean, Priest was really good, and they had a great show, and but I honestly, after seeing Maiden, I don't remember much about pre-show. It's like there was a great pre-show. They were really good, but I was just so psyched about seeing Maiden and just so blown away, because you get when you see a band like that as your favorite band, you've never seen them before, and you don't know what to expect. They could be horrible, and they were just so much better than even I thought they could be. That the rest of the night was just kind of a bit of a haze. And then, of course, afterwards, they interviewed Steve Harris, which is another kind of crazy,
Oh, that was that night.
That was that night, yeah, at the hotel after the show, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
what hotel, do you remember?
Who knows?
Okay.
I can't remember.
I wanted to see if that memory was as good as it seems to me.
No, but I did though bring my my Soundhouse tapes, which were pretty rare at the time, and I had him autograph that. He just I still have it, thankfully. I didn't lose that. He just said nice one and signed it Steve Harris. So.
Sweet. So by the end of Maiden's set, now maybe it's half full. I mean, have other people joined with you to figure out, hey, these guys are pretty good?
Kinda. It was getting a little bit fuller, but it wasn't. I just think people just didn't know who they were, so they just like, I don't know who this band is. I'll just show up late so I can be there for Priest, and I'll go probably hanging out in the parking lot drinking or whatever.
Right. On the tailgate with a beer.
I mean, it was probably more than half full by the time they were over, but they were on the floor. I mean, I didn't really pay much attention to the stands, but on the floor where we were, it was pretty empty. Like I said, probably by the end about half full maybe, but not. It certainly wasn't full until, of course, Priest came on and the place was packed.
Yeah, but were people digging it, or were people kind of like, well, whatever?
Well, it was it's hard to tell because, the freaking security guards wouldn't let anybody stand up and cheer or headbang or anything. So everybody had to sit in their seats. But they got a pretty good response. I mean, there was a few people up front that were super into it, but you could definitely tell that even the people that were there, most of them had no clue who this band was.
Well, did they make you sit for Priest?
No, because they couldn't sit everybody down, so everybody stood up for Priest. So you do that. But we were the only two idiots standing up for Maiden. So
I see. Nope. It's like, we can go crack their skulls, and then
exactly.
Then I got something to tell the boys at the bar tonight afterwards. Yeah,
exactly.
Did you beat up on any hippie kids? Yeah, smacked a couple in the head. There you go. You already told us all the stats. I mean, you've seen them 300 times. You only saw him with Deano once after that?
Yeah, just the two times.
In Long Beach
Houston
with
and Long
UFO.
Beach, because that was his last show ever in the U.S. He was out of the band a few weeks later.
And you interviewed him, and he dropped it on you, man.
Yeah, I still can't believe that. That was guys like, it was before the show too, so kind of was like, oh wow, that was weird. But I also was one of those things like, yeah, sure, he's not really going to leave. Or like, he's just saying that just to say it.
Yeah. He wants more writing credits. He's just going to, nudge Steve, and Steve can nudge you out.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. But I mean, look, it worked out all right?
You wonder about that sometimes, like how much, if he had stayed, how much further could they have gone with him? Because, I mean, no offense, the first two records he sounded great on, but you needed that extra spark to take you to the next level.
Yeah, and that's why it would never have lasted, because he was, he just wasn't taking care of his voice, and you could even tell. I think at the Long Beach show, his voice was it was less good. It's not really a word, but it was not as good as it was in Houston for sure. So it just, those things just kind of take on their own. I mean, you could say the same thing about AC/DC. I used to say, like, if AC/DC had a different singer, they'd be huge. And then of course, the things happen with Bon, and they were huge. You would have thought, would they have been as big with Bon as with Brian? Who knows? These questions you cannot answer, right?
I know, but some people are not built to be superstars. I mean, Paul probably liked being famous around the pub. He liked having money in his pocket, but to be an international superstar and what it takes to really be that.
100%. Yeah, you're 100% right. And I knew, I mean, I was a big fan of Samson before Bruce. So I knew very well, I was very well versed at Bruce. And I thought that was perfect. And I was still working at the record store a little bit when Number of the Beast came out. And it was like 50-50. Like 50% of the people loved Bruce, 50% of it hated it and wanted Deanna. It was that big a thing in the scene back then. It wasn't immediately like, oh, Bruce, we love you, and
right,
like,
sure.
Like I don't like Iron Maiden anymore. I like the Deanna version better.
These guys suck now.
Yeah, kind of.
People hate change, especially with stuff that is dear to them.
Well, and lead singers too. That's a hard thing to do.
Yes, very hard to replicate. That's right. All right, so did you see the Blaze Bayley era stuff when they were in smaller places? No.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I for a long time, and I know Blaze. He's a great guy, and he's a phenomenal singer. And get well soon. I know he's going through some health stuff now, but no, I never listened to 1 second of any of those records. I never saw them. To me, they did not exist. It wasn't until my buddy Chris Jericho kept yelling at me to listen to those records. Like every time I'd see him, because we're both fellow Maiden nerds. You got to listen to those records. You got to listen to those records. So one day I finally was like, I'm tired of him yelling at me for this. So I finally broke down and listened to it. Well, it kind of happened so I was at a show when Bruce had come back, and they played, I can't remember which song it was, but one of the two songs that they did with Maiden. It wasn't the Klansman. They did Sign of the Cross. Sign of the Cross. So we were playing Sign of the Cross. I'm going to my friends, is this a new song? There was Maiden playing a new song? They go, no, that was on whatever one of those records were, virtual, whatever it was. I go, oh, this is actually a really good song. And then they did the Klansman later, which is also a really good song.
It's pretty good, yeah.
And listening to that record, because it's a really, the first one of the two, it's a really heavy, dark record. And I think if Bruce sang on that record, it would have been brilliant. Even Blaze was not bad on there, but it just, wrong guy in the wrong band.
No doubt, but I was thinking, well, okay, you saw, it wasn't in a small venue. There was a small amount of people there when they first came on, but that's, you've basically always seen Maiden in pretty big places. Hammersmith's fairly small, I guess.
Yeah,
3,000 people, yeah.
Yeah, that was shocked me because that was a great week. I saw Dio twice with Queensrÿche opening and then Maiden twice, all in the same week. And I had, grown up thinking, Hammersmith is the size of Long Beach Arena. It's this huge arena. You get there, it's like a 3,000 seat theater. So
it's not, no doubt. But I see my first Maiden show, if we're doing my first concert memories, my first Maiden show was during the Blaze era.
Oh, wow.
And they came to America and they played clubs. And I saw them in a nightclub that, later that year I saw Cinderella in. This is like 97 or, whenever that was, 96, 97. So all I saw is Iron Maiden's coming to town. I know Bruce is out of the band. It doesn't matter. I've got to see them, So I just thought it was cool that they did that. Steve's like, yes, we'll go out and work. Who cares if we're not, we'll build it back up, that kind of thing.
Well, Steve goes out with his side projects and plays clubs and stuff all the time. So he just loves to tour.
His work ethic is amazing for everything that he does.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I did see Maiden at the infamous Lamora show in New York in 88 or 89. I forget exactly what year it was, but that was pretty cool.
What was infamous about it?
They played Lamora's 1,200 seat club in New York, and while they were playing arenas there, they just did it for fun. I think it was They billed them as Charlotte and the Harlots. And,
okay. So this was like a one-off. They snuck in there.
Just a one-off. I guess they just wanted to play the famous Lamores. I don't know why they did it. I didn't care. I was just like, wow, seeing Iron Maiden at club was phenomenal.
That is so cool. Yeah, unbelievable.
Hey everybody, this is Britt Lightning from Vixen, and you're listening to the Ugly American Werewolf in London.
Well, tell us how your podcast on Pantheon is doing these days. We always see the videos.
Yeah, it's fun. 100 songs to define heavy metal. Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of work, as you guys well know. And it's, for me, I've got, thanks to Pantheon and my producer, who I love all of them, but, I have 5 components to this thing. I have, Martin Popoff, who does a thing. Then we have a guy who does the production. We talk about the production part of it, then the actual guest. And I have to schedule them all. And it's a whole to do, but it's a lot of fun to do. It's a real lot of fun to do. So, and yeah, if you want to hear me babble on or other famous people about very famous heavy metal songs, you can listen to it wherever your podcasts are, just like you guys through Pantheon.
Yeah, that's right. And check out Brian on socials. because he'll share clips with his buddies, well, his guests, but a lot of them are your friends.
Yeah.
And talking metal, talking about how these songs change their lives and how important they are.
Yeah, all of them.
That's
I think
pretty
I'm
cool.
trying to think. I think the only people that I didn't know beforehand were Dennis Dunaway from Alice Cooper.
Okay.
Albert Bouchard from Blistering I knew a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah, and there's probably one or two other people that got set up, but the rest of the people I don't know really well. So just kind of fun to get your friends on
Hang
and
out
talk
with your
about
buddies,
stuff.
yeah.
Gives me a reason to hang out with them. Like, for example, Brian Koppelman, my buddy who, does Billions and all this sort of stuff. He's a huge metalhead, so we got to talk about Riot Fire Down Under, which a lot of fun. So
Which
it's
just
cool.
turned 45, I think, this week or something like that. Major, very influential album, as it turns out.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those underground classics that anybody that knows it, it's like one of the best metal records of all time that nobody knows about.
Now, don't you have like a trivia game that's kind of attached to your podcast?
So yeah, again, the Pantheon guys, they do a Metallica quiz, I guess it's called. So they're doing one for Metallica. They're doing one, I think, for Grateful Dead and Pink Floyd or something. So they're doing one for Metal Blade. It's called Metal Mondays. It's out every Monday. You can answer questions about the history of Metal Blade records, win prizes, get discounts for merchandise at the Metal Blade store. So it's out every Monday, and just put in Metal Mondays and you can go play. It's a lot of fun because they have me screen all the questions to make sure they're right. So a couple of times even I have to go, I was like, I think that's right. But it's cool. I guess these things are a big thing now. All these quizzes and people, there's a leaderboard and the whole thing. So it's cool.
Well, that's fun. That's a fun way to interact with your show, and I bet there's a lot of metalheads out there who be pretty good at that.
Yeah, anything to do that's different and can get more people involved is always good.
Yeah, that's fun. All right, so after the show, you're with your buddy. You got to go home the next day. You stay up all night, listen to Maiden. What do you do?
No, we didn't do that. He was still living with his parents at the time, so we had to go back quietly and sleep quietly. I think I did go back the next day though, because I had work and other stuff I had to do, so I probably had to go back. I think I'm pretty sure I had to go back the next day. I flew in the day before and then was there for the show. Obviously, and flew back the next day.
Did your buddy get to meet Steve, or was that a 1-to-1?
No,
deal?
I think he was my ride, so so he was there. So yeah, I think he said hi to Steve really quick.
We're not
too.
leaving until I meet him.
Yeah, pretty much. I go, well, you're my ride, and there was no Uber at the time, so
That's right. You don't just have cab money laying around. How
No.
great would that be, Jackson? It's like, hey, Jackson, I'm going to come to town. We're going to go see this band. I got tickets. And then you're going to drive me over to their hotel. I'm going to interview our main man, who will go on to become a huge legend. I'm sure that's just the way you spelled it out to him.
well, I mean, he was just as big a fan as I was, so it was, he was
psyched.
Yeah, and I got, Capitol Records sent me over the tickets and the passes and everything, so it was all free. So that was pretty cool too.
Oh, that's very nice, and nice seats too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said we were on the floor, but it was pretty close. And Capitol. Nobody knew who Iron Maiden was back then, so I was calling them, and they were sending me all the promo stuff for Killers. And like I said, we sold 300 copies in my record store of that. So it's nice of them to help me out.
That is impressive. Yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, what about bands that have either albums coming out that you can talk about or that are going to tour this summer? I hear the touring is actually, the bookings are down this year. I figured, but for metal, I'm hoping they're up.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of years, metal's been the dominant sales front for all shows. But yeah, there's always a lot of shows. I mean, there's, Wimmer's got all his huge festivals this year, which a lot of them are pretty insane. And, you're going to have Maiden coming over. We've got Amon Amarth and Death Clock doing their Amon Clock tour. Ghost is out there right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that's because metal fans are very loyal, and B, metal bands don't overcharge people the way the pop acts and the real legacy acts are getting away with now.
100%. And let me say, I can't really say anything, but there's a very popular band that's working on something really cool. And one of the components to getting it together is to make sure that the ticket prices aren't insane. So everybody cares about that for sure.
Sweet. Good. That's good to hear, man. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, things in the metal world, I think, are all really good at the moment.
Excellent. It's because of guys like you who, since the 1970s and 80s, putting together your fanzine, bringing people together. Oh, yeah, I'll find my favorite bands in the scene, and I'll put together this little tape.
Yeah, I mean, look, whatever I can do. It all goes back to the record store. It's just a lot of fun to turn people onto music that you like and see them like it. So that's pretty much the reason why I still do this 44 years later.
Yeah, that's a sad thing to think about, because the place where you would go and get turned on to music like that, there would be either you'd be playing it in there, or you'd have stuff, or people would talk about, like, they'd be experts at it. It's just It's not here anymore.
There's still a lot of, you'd be surprised, man. There are a ton of record stores out there. I mean, there's a lot of really good ones. Even in Vegas, we got a couple of really great stores. And, I've got I mean, it's the heavy metal shop still in Salt Lake City. And, there's stuff all over the place. I think it's healthier now, record stores, especially selling, a lot of metal. I mean, I think we've got, I forget the number, but there's over 200 like real independent record stores around the country now that are all doing pretty well. So it's still a little bit different. Like it's not just going to be a metal shop, obviously, but there's a few of those out there. So it's surprisingly healthier than even I would have predicted, because we still sell tons of vinyl and tons of CDs still, even in the States these days, which is still kind of crazy.
There's something about that. I mean, you can listen to anything you want on iTunes, but there's something about having the physical media. You get to look at it, you get to go through the pamphlet, you get to put it in, listen to the whole thing, and it's your copy. You can't ever take it away from me.
Yeah, I still buy all the vinyl, and these. What kills me now is, it's amazing, but guys like Rhino doing all these massive box sets of Sabbath and all, like Kiss just did these insane box sets of Alive and Dress to Kill, which like 3 each live shows, and this whole big box sets like this big. It's insane. So yeah, all that stuff is really cool. And, we just did a big 40th anniversary for Hell Awaits, where there's a whole bunch of different vinyl variants, and we're doing even more now. So it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm the same way. I am still a vinyl collector. I'm running out of room again for that though.
Yeah, no, and the vinyl revival, let's face it, has helped the record industry in a big way. But yeah, in the early 2000s, you could pick up classic records for $1, like original pressings of albums. Like they're just
every once in a while, one of my buddies somewhere will find a copy of the original Metal Massacre, where there's only 2,500 of, for like $60, and that thing goes for like over $1,000 on eBay all the time. So there's some gems out there.
I love that Jericho, by the way, is like the champion of bands like least favorite periods. Like he's always pushing Kiss in the 80s, like non-makeup Kiss. He's pushing, no, you gotta listen to Asylum, man. You gotta and I'm like, but fine, but what about the 70s? He's funny.
Yeah, I mean, he loves all the real stuff too, but he's one of those guys where whatever band he loves, let's say Kiss and Iron Maiden are two of his favorites, he loves every record, no matter what. Now, Maiden, for me, aside from the 2 Blaze Bayley records, I love all those records. But for Kiss, I'm a massive Kiss fan, and I love all the classics. But even some of that 80s stuff, some of it's really good, but some of them I'm like, eh. But yeah, Jericho loves all of it. He does.
He's a true believer.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, listen, Brian, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story here. We love that you're still in this business doing what you love. I mean, you've done a lot of work, yet maybe you haven't worked a day in 45 years. I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. It's it's still work, but it's also fun work. So for sure.
Yeah. That's great, man. Well, like all the best to you this year. And hey, look, if we could bump into each other in Charlotte somewhere, do so. We'll buy you a drink or a souvenir or something.
Yeah, if I get out there, we should definitely do that. And thanks as always for having me on too.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, bud.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Take care,
bud. Take care. All the best. Oh, it's great hearing about old Iron Maiden stories from Brian Slagel, one of the true godfathers of heavy metal, certainly in the United States, a champion of the music who helped bring it to the U.S., who helped get it in the hands of fans, who helped educate fans with his early fanzine, who put out that early Metal Massacre tape to help boost the careers of people like Rat and Metallica, among others. And it's a guy who really followed his passion and followed his dreams. He loved this music. Once he heard those Soundhouse tapes, he was hooked, and he wanted to learn more about it. He wanted to be part of the scene, and he helped create the scene. He helped perpetuate the scene, and he's helping it to this day. I know everyone says, just go find a trade. Go find something that you can become masterful of. Don't follow your passion. That'll get you nowhere. Find something that you can market and sell and make a lot of money at. Well, I think he's a living example that if you find something that you love and you can learn more about than anybody else, and you can put yourself in the middle of it, then you can create not only a career, but you can have an impact on that which you are passionate about, and you can have an impact on the world and on culture just by being yourself and following your own passions. And that's why we admire Brian Slagel, and we're so glad to hear him talk about Iron Maiden live in 1981 here on the show today. Goodness knows we'd welcome him back anytime. He doesn't necessarily need us to promote anything, but he does like talking about metal. He does like talking about his favorite bands. And as long as he's up to talking, we'll always have him back here on First Concert Memories and the Ugly American Werewolf in London. And we want to know which bands first turned you on, which first concert memories changed your life forever, which bands would you like to hear us talk about here on First Concert Memories. You email us and let us know. It's uglyamericanwerewolf@gmail.com. You can let us know the bands that you loved seeing live that changed your life, or the ones you wish you'd seen and would like to hear a story of. Of course, we need you to download and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, so you don't miss an episode. And if you really want to help us out, hey, go give us a 5-star review. Say, hey, I loved hearing Brian Slagel talk about Iron Maiden on First Concert Memories. It just means the world to us. It helps us find more rock and rollers like you. And if you send it our way, we might just read it on an episode. Thanks to Pantheon Podcast for making us and Brian part of the family. And thanks to our sponsor, rarevinyl.com, where if you use the code UGLY, you can save 10% off one entire order. And they're based in the UK, folks. So you know, yes, they have an amazing array of Iron Maiden goodies in there. That's it for this month. We've got some cool guests lined up in the coming months, so you're going to have to stay tuned. And until next time, to all you rock and rollers out there, keep going to see live music. It's the best way to keep rock alive.